Welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. Aloha. I think I got you guys like 10 seconds early today. I'm your host, Savy, and the founder of Gimme a Break, which, of course, is a nonprofit organization. We're an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that's caring for caregivers just like you. And we're here to bring back your joy to caregiving. Caregiving should be a joy. It becomes a drudgery and a burden. And though those times will always be, we can replace more joy into what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. We're here to help you survive every week. And so you can find us. We're Gimme a Break at gab808.org. And there it is right on the screen for those of you watching live and listening on podcasts. Again, gab808.org. So that's our website. There's a lot of information there, and you can fill in a support request, and that support request doesn't necessarily mean you need something. You could just connect with a community and get onto our newsletter. The cool thing about our newsletter is it only comes out 4 times a year, so we're not going to load your email inbox. Also, throughout the year, you're going to get little treats in the mail. Yeah, we just got our Thanksgiving cards and we had a little bit of peppermint tea in that. So just a moment of mindfulness is all we're going to try to do there for you. And it's always about putting our caregivers first. Anyway, you need a break, and that's why we do it. We're Gimme a Break. And of course, we're giving you your first break, which is our support sessions. And our support sessions are every week. I got to scroll up here. Here we go. And every week, and they're online and super easy to get onto. If you know how to use Zoom, you can get on to our support sessions. All you do is type in the meeting ID 808-754-3787, and there you go, you're in. So it's Hawaii time, 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Go ahead and Zoom on in. And I know for some of you, like in the East Coast, that's a little tough, but it is daylight savings time. Is no longer existing, right? Is existing, whatever. But we're now only 5 hours and not 6. So, all right, midnight, that's okay. You're probably up and you had to clean up something anyway. So log in for a bit of time and join a community of caregivers just like you. And it's your positive, safe space. And we have had several on from New York, Florida, Maryland, from Denver, from Nevada. And you're welcome to come in and come out. There's no obligation for you to stay and continue on every week. But I'll tell you, sometimes it's hard to go without us. Once you join a community of caregivers that gets you, we're here for you. So share, learn, and connect with us every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. All right. And for those of you who follow us on Facebook, know and have seen, and thank you for some of you for all of your waves, that the other day was World Hello Day. And so I posted on there for you to put a little wave inside in the comments, or just a hello. And that enters you to win a home pamper kit. Now that winner is going to randomly be selected on Thanksgiving morning. So you got another day. That's like a little less than 24 hours to go ahead and put that wave in the comments. So check out our Facebook page. Just go to GAB808 on Facebook, and you'll find us. And give us a wave. And if you don't care if you win or not, that doesn't matter. Give us a wave, because on World Hello Day, we're just making sure that caregivers know that somebody sees them. And that's what it's really all about. All right, great. Okay, so the other thing I just wanted to talk about real quick. Did you know that the Caring Caregiver Show is actually how Gimme a Break gets you connected to resources? Well, it is. And we also have a great resource in our Giver's Guides. So the Giver's Guides online magazine is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's exclusively written for caregivers by caregivers with a caregiver's point of view. And it's really just one of the best resources you can have. In fact, here's a little sneaky peek as soon as I can find it. Where is it? There it is. Of next month's issue that's coming out in just about a week. And it's, I'm going to take this off for a second. And you can see that we've got our top 10 best gifts for caregivers. So $25 donation gets you 12 issues all year long, 12 monthly issues. And in that, you're going to find so much great resource, but you're also going to find something like this. So here's what you do is you get the issue, and then those top 10 best gifts for caregivers, you start throwing big hints to everybody. This is what I need as a caregiver. This is what I want. Or you just treat yourself because you do deserve it. All right. And so with that, I'm yabbering on and on and on, aren't I? I want to get on with the show because this is our finale. It is episode 8, our final show for season 16, and it's been amazing. And this month has been all about gratitude. And for caregivers, it's a hard thing. With Thanks Caregiving, I call it, tomorrow, I want to express especially our gratitude and mine, but everyone from Gimme a Break, Giver's Guides, and Caring Caregiver Show. I want to express our gratitude for your continued support and those who continually donate to be able to continue this work that we do. And it's really our passion mission, right? So we're here to change the world of caregiving. And I used to have people that would say to me, you think you can change the world? And I said, yeah, I can. One person at a time. And one of our other board members always says that maybe you can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person. And so that's what we want to do. And we're grateful for that. And I wanted to express my gratitude to all of you. And so from our Ohana to all of you, I want to give you a happy Thanks Caregiving. All right. And it is National Caregiver Month. So we have been recognizing caregivers and their stories all month. And 50% of caregivers pass before the ones they're caring for and are at very, very high risk for burnout. You need to survive this journey. And that's going to be a challenge. But my next guest, or my first guest this morning, can help you to navigate that journey. And please welcome Nancy Treaster and Sue Ryan. Aloha and welcome the co-founders of the Caregiver's Journey. Hello, you both.
Hello.
I'm so happy to have you here.
We're glad to be here. And aloha.
Yes, we are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So now I want you to just both take turns. Whoever can go first. If you want, we'll go in alphabetical order. And just share your caregiving story. And then we'll talk about how that led you to the caregiver's journey. But we all know how hard the caregiver's journey is. So sharing that story is so important. Please share.
Since my last name begins with an R, then we'll go by last name and I'll start. So it's a Sue Ryan. So I'll go first. My first caregiving journey began when I was in my early 20s. I was a business professional and also was caring for a loved one. We didn't know what we didn't know. It was a pretty brutal journey, to be perfectly honest. And I had multiple journeys over the next 40 years. Several of those included my grandmother, my dad, and my husband. And I learned a lot through those journeys. The majority of those journeys, I was also a business professional, and I never self-identified because it wasn't appropriate in the work environment I was at. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot through trial and error. And I was really passionate about wanting to help other people because so often I struggled to find the answers, and I wanted to make it easier for people. I wanted it to be something where they could move from feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. And sometimes it was frightening to feeling more confident, balanced, and supported. And I began creating messages in support of that. And I won't steal anything from Nancy, but Nancy and I have known each other through the majority of those years. Because in that early part, we were also working together in the same company.
Mm.
And Sue and I worked together. We're going to say 35 years ago, might have been longer, but we're going to go with that because that's not.
It's okay. You were 10 when you started.
Thank you. And then not only would we work together and have a lot of respect for each other there, at one point, Sue moved in next door. She was our next door neighbor. So we were next door neighbors. So we had a very unique, both working and personal relationship. My father lived with Parkinson's for 25 years, and my sister and I supported my mother, supporting my father with Parkinson's. And then about 10 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia. And about 4 years later, my father-in-law, who I also took care of, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So there's been a lot of dementia specifically in my caregiving experience, and a lot of Sue's. When she mentioned her grandmother, her father, and her husband, that was all dementia as well. So we've spent a lot of time very closely aligned on dementia caregiving. And so that's when we started, Sue's idea, but that's when we started the Caregiver's Journey, focused specifically on helping dementia family caregivers learn faster and more easily than we did.
Yeah, I think, and bless your hearts for all of that, and how wonderful to have found someone to go into the battle with, right? And you have somebody side by side with you that can keep you strong, and that's something I talk about all the time, which is community. Community can just be one more person, right? You're never alone. But I'm finding too more and more nowadays that we're seeing more and more dementia. And I don't know if it just was never really classified as it is now. And people always said it was just they're getting old. But, there's just become more and more different types of dementia that are affecting those, not just in the aging community, but even in our prime. And there's a youth dementia. I mean, this is really something that's very important, and it changes caregiving completely, right? So tell me about the caregiver's journey.
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay. Nancy and I co-founded the Caregiver's Journey because what we recognized is that we wanted to bring messages to caregivers to meet them where they were at, and to give them what we call practical tips and have candid conversations about the good, the bad, and the ugly of the caregiving journey. We wanted them to be able to get the answers to questions sometimes that they didn't know to ask, or when they were struggling with something, to be able to know exactly what to do. And both Nancy and I recognized that there were times when we looked, we couldn't find the answers. We would ask the question, we didn't know who to ask sometimes, and we couldn't find the answers. And that was the foundation of what we decided with the Caregiver's Journey. We created it as a 501c3 so that it can be a nonprofit. And in addition to the podcast that we put out every couple of weeks, we have an additional blog post that matches that. So caregivers can watch on YouTube, listen to the podcasts, or read the blog posts and get actual things to do that are specific to the issues they face. One of those, I'll just give you one example and then transition to Nancy. But one of them was, how do you change someone who was bedbound and they've had a bowel movement? And that's a real thing if you're a caregiver. And there was nothing that we could find about that.
Yeah.
And so those are the kinds of things that we said, okay, people need to know how to do because it's a thing. So no topic is off limits. And we're looking at things that are going to help make it easier for them to be caregivers. So it's about them, and it's also about their care receivers.
Yeah. Those are the kind of things that in caregiving, you just end up having to do, and you have no clue what you're doing. 90% of the time, having to change a catheter for my father. I don't know, empty the bag. I didn't know what that was. I had to do it.
We didn't go to school for that.
Nobody taught you that. And the doctors don't make time to do that. You know how to do this, don't you? Sure. Okay. And your father's wandering off. You've got to go. Well, thanks, doc. Have a good day. And mom, when she became bedbound, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know you had to turn her. Did you know that? Did you know you have to turn them and from side to side or they get sores? I didn't know that. I hear of things like that, but you don't think that's going to happen because your mom's invisible. Yeah. And she's fine. She doesn't need that. She's fine. She's better than everybody else. She's stronger. So no, there's all kinds of things you find out. But yes, I love that you do that. I think that's so important. This is not just a blog that's going to say all the pretty things, right? And your podcast is not going to talk about all the wonderful joys of caregiving. You get down and dirty.
We do. And specifically our framework, which we've adjusted a lot. Our podcast, our business is about 16 months old right now. So it's fairly young. And we've made, pretty good adjustments along the way. But the interesting thing is the framework that we put together for our podcasts and our blogs in terms of how we were going to present information hasn't changed since day one. We said we're going to have somewhere around 25-minute podcast. It's going to be an advice and how-to podcast. So we'll pick a topic, bathing and dressing, and then we'll give tips on exactly what to expect, how this is starting to be a problem, how to manage through it, and so on. And we cover topics from when to call in hospice, when to call in palliative care. We have 5 episodes on incontinence, everything from how to prepare to how to change a bedbound care receiver. So what do elder law attorneys do and why should you need one?
Yeah.
But probably the thing what we've also done is we've taken a lot of these topics where, for example, the 5 blogs and podcasts on incontinence, and we've collected those into a guide. So you can just read a guide about incontinence, for example, or a guide about safety, even though there's 4 different episodes on safety. But the thing that I think we're most proud of that we just launched in September is we finally defined the Dementia Caregivers Roadmap. And the journey itself, we really spent months of just painstaking work trying to figure out how we can make it simple. Because when you're a dementia family caregiver, you either are overwhelmed because you have no idea what to do, or overwhelmed because people gave you 400 different leaflets and pointed you to 5 different websites and you don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So we created a 20-step roadmap that starts at the beginning of your journey right after diagnosis and ends step 20 is about grief and when your loved one passes away. And along the way, our goal is for you to know where you are in the journey and what's important right now and what can wait until later. Yeah. So that it's really easy for you to know, I need to focus on learning about activities of daily living. Well, you don't need to focus on that till at this point in your journey. You don't need to bother with that for the first 2 or 3.
It's like a timeline. Years, right? It maps it out for you, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a timeline. And I love that. Because I call caregiving in that situation. A lot of people say you're like a chicken with your head cut off. No, you're like a chicken with your head still on. And, and you think you know what you're doing. And I love that you have that mapped out and that, okay, I don't need to amass this much information about this right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing that we felt really strongly about as well, and Nancy articulated it so beautifully, is this is for the caregiver. As you already identified, so much of what you get, when there's a diagnosis, you want a PhD in the diagnosis and a PhD in being a caregiver, and you leave with all this information on, all the things for the diagnosis, but not on that. And we wanted to make sure that caregivers had that roadmap of the things when it's important to be looking at certain things and when not so much. So you shift, literally, we kind of said you go from being overwhelmed to underwhelmed.
Yes.
It's like, okay,
I got this.
I got this. But for me as a caregiver, and that was the path that we wanted to make sure people went. And so we focused very specifically on that.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. I think it's an incredible resource. And I really, every caregiver, just go and check out their website. It's super easy. It's thecaregiversjourney.org. It's not hard, guys. You can do this one. Okay. Take a deep breath. Thecaregiversjourney.org. Oh, let me see. You're on your journey. And what a great time to find out if you're going in the wrong place or running around like a chicken with your head on. And I think that could change things. It was really funny. Sue and I were talking before you guys came on, and we talked about Gumby and Pokey. And I'm going to age us again. And then, and we sat there and we had this conversation, and then we ended up talking about horses and pastures and wonderful places. And it's amazing that having that conversation and connecting to people, connecting to a community, and getting the right resources changes the discussion. It doesn't have to stay at, is it a UTI? It then can go to, look at mom. She's so much healthier and she's smiling now.
And And part of that is once you build that, we're really big on education. And and we don't over educate you, by the way. In each one of these steps, we tell you the minimum amount of education you need to have to address this step. But the more you learn, the more knowledge you have, the more confident you are. And the more confident you are, the better caregiver you are, and the better experience your care receiver is going to have. So all along everyone wins is the net.
Yes.
And the path that we do, when we were searching and we couldn't find the answers, the guide brings the answers. We've got the hyperlinks. We've got QR codes. It's like, oh, this is where you go. This is where you find it. This is what it is. This is when it's important. All of those pieces to simplify it and to help you understand what it's going to be important and what to do.
That's amazing. That is just amazing. And that's why I always say, right, these are the wonderful resources, and you're focused on the dementia caregiver, which is great. But I really believe that every caregiver can benefit from your information. What you don't know, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And, aging, if you have somebody who's aging, they could have had a stroke. Right. And that's considered dementia in that umbrella. And they could be aging and they're still seeing things different. Their memory isn't as good as it was. So I think that still puts them in the same category to benefit from your information.
Savy, interestingly enough, my sister just got diagnosed with cancer and we're now going through chemo and everything. And I started thinking, well, what do we need to do? Well, guess what? We need to do the first 5 steps in the roadmap. All of a sudden I woke up and I'm like, well, Nancy, you know exactly what we need to do. Start with step 1.
That's right. You already, you already had it.
Exactly the same.
But that's exactly why you created it, right? It's just, and you use it yourself, right? It's so simple and it's right there. I think that's just amazing. And what an awesome resource. And I remember when I met you both, it was just like we were all related. We were kindred spirits. And I think that's something that caregiving does too. It brings us all closer together. We're all really
equalizer.
Yes. And we're all a community. It's not even about, where you live or, what church you go to or who you believe in or anything. It doesn't even matter. Are you a caregiver? Oh, we're family, because we're all caregivers and we're all going through so much. And honestly, when you're just in the thick of it, it doesn't even matter what's going on in the world around you.
So true. I just spent 5 weeks in New York because we were seeing specialists about her chemo. And it's amazing how I came back home and I'm like, oh, there's a real world out here. This is the life I used to live. I've been out of it for 5 weeks completely. And it didn't matter either. Somehow life went on, somehow everything's fine. But for 5 weeks, I was in a different world and I just came home and I'm like, oh, look, here's the real world that's here. Who knew? Yeah.
That's like I tell caregivers, open your window. Because they probably haven't in a few months. Mm-hmm. Open your window because you'll remember what it feels like to have the wind on your cheeks.
So true.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And it's those moments that we need. And so when you're doing that, make sure you go to thecaregiversjourney.org and check everything out. Get your roadmap together because this is a wonderful opportunity to get the information you need in the bits that you need it.
Exactly.
And not be overwhelmed because you're already overwhelmed. Ladies, was there anything else I missed that we wanted to talk about? We got a couple more minutes.
I'll bring up one other thing that goes along with the roadmap. I know we've beat that to death, but it's important. As Sue said, this is a roadmap for the caregiver. And we've split the roadmap into different sections so that you know where you are in your journey because that way you know what's important. So the first part of the roadmap is in the beginning and it's right after the diagnosis. And here are the first 6 steps that you can focus on or that, you want to go through when you're in that part of the journey. And then you can take a break. Don't worry about anything else right now. Don't focus on anything else. Just, relax. Now, when you're ready for more, here's 4 more steps to take. And then we define what the middle of the journey looks like and how you're in the middle of the journey and what the end of the journey looks like and how you're at the end of the journey. So we tell them how to figure out where they fit in the roadmap so that they know at what point they need to focus on what is the net. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up.
Right. And then, as we all know, there is an end of the journey as well. And
Yeah.
so, and I'm currently going through that part as my mother has passed. And so, in fact, I'll be going this Saturday to collect her ashes. And so all of that is a whole new experience to me too, not knowing this and not knowing that. So it's a constant learn for us as caregivers to be able to not just survive, but then now getting back to your life and thriving through it. And what can you continue to do?
You use the right word in there of thriving. And it's also,
Yes.
especially as you look at grieving and you've been so focused on being a caregiver, now that's done. And it's giving yourself permission to be who you are and explore all that. But to remind yourself, we're meant to thrive in our lives, and how to have a healthy relationship with that and how to shift that. And what Nancy and I close every podcast episode with is, we're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
Savvy, just for your knowledge, the very last podcast we just put out last Tuesday is the administrative tasks that you need to do after death. And it's literally all written down. You need to do this immediately after death, these the weeks after death, this the months after death.
Y'all couldn't have gotten that to me about a couple months ago. I could have read it and studied it by now.
Make sure you're not missing anything. There's a worksheet that goes with it, so you can go out there and at least peek.
I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go and check it out. Yes, that's perfect. And thank you for that. And I know we're running out of time, but I just want to thank you for what you're doing and remind everyone that even your podcast, they can access that through your website, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So you can go on to the caregiversjourney.org and it's just going to open, it's going to be like, open a whole new world for you as caregivers, and not just learning and information, but just two really amazing women right here who are survivors. And you are still caregiving in many, many ways. And yet here we are supporting one another. So thank you for that. And thank you for your souls, your beautiful souls, and your kindness and your heart. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad I met both of you.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. It's wonderful what you're doing as well. So we definitely are all on this journey together.
Yes. Yes. Well, we're going to keep in touch. Thank you so much for coming on today. And I appreciate both of you so much. Happiest Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you, Savvy.
Right back at you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Okay. There we go. I did it. Yay. Okay. So I'm keeping it on there just a little bit more for you. And thank you so much, both of you, Sue and Nancy. Thank you so much. Mahalo to you both. I send my heart to you as you continue on through your journeys. And Nancy, with helping your sister as well, sending a lot of healing and happiness to you. And so go to their website, check it out. It's the caregiversjourney.org. I've said it many times for you. And if you ever need that information, you all know how to get it. So there it is. Okay. This season is just packed with amazing resources, amazing people, everyone that we're meeting, not just the ones you need, but also the ones that you need to care for you, not just to care for others, but you need this to care for yourself. And that's something that I always remind you, that you have to take care of yourself, because as a caregiver, you are the most important part of the caregiving equation, because without you, there is no caregiving. And so you cannot become the one needing care. You have to take those moments, open that window, feel the wind on your face, get the education you need. And what a great way to do it, in bits and bytes, right? Well, I'll tell you, it is such an honor to bring all of this information to you, to share the caregiving stories and to bring this information to caregivers. And I think that, one of the important things, before I go on to, I want to mention that we have been having our Caregiver of the Year contest throughout this month, and have really enjoyed so many wonderful caregiving stories. And we'll be having our gala next month and announcing our Caregiver of the Year winner, who will be in our January issue. But for now, we're just sharing the stories, and we appreciate anyone that can do that, because why? You create awareness, and creating awareness that we exist is so important. I want to ask a question to you. This is a rhetorical question, but what is or was the worst fear you had or have even currently when you're caregiving for somebody with memory issues or moms with a young child, because moms, you know, you're our first caregiver. What was your worst fear? Well, I'll tell you. In my worst fear, when I had my mother with dementia, and I was still working, and my worst fear was that she would wander off. She would wander off and get lost. And it just scared me. What if she wandered off and couldn't find her way back? What if I couldn't find her? And I was constantly worried about that. That worry and frustration sits in you, and it just damaging to your health and to your whole well-being. So I decided we're going to have somebody come and talk to you about a way to just be able to not have to worry about that. I mean, can you imagine if there was a way to monitor that? So here I brought back somebody that was on just a few weeks ago. This is a familiar face, and I want to welcome back Nam Collins. Nam, aloha and welcome. And she's going to talk to you about Blackbird, not Blackberry. And I used to love that. This is Blackbird. But just before we get started, just remind us of your caregiving journey and tell us.
Hi, Savy. What an incredible show. I just love you. You're amazing. It takes dedication, and it takes a lot. I mean, you obviously are very passionate and helping people. And for me, one of my girlfriends, we were very close at the time, and she had found out her mother had started the early stages, actually, of dementia. And she was the only one living on Oahu. So her sister and her brother were both outer islands, and she's the only one who could be the main caregiver. So I just remember, when she started talking to me about this, she was coming to me for red light therapy, with my other job, and she would just have breakdowns. And eventually she stopped coming because she just was so concerned that her mother would get lost, and they did have someone coming in maybe for a couple of hours, but at night, when she's trying to sleep, she had no idea, because her mom knew how to open the door, and she did try to wander off, and she had alarms and all of that, but she said not at night. She just could never get sleep. So the only time she could get that sleep was when the nurse's aide or CNA would come for just a couple of hours, and she would just try to sleep. But 2 hours a day, it is not going to cut it, So eventually she did end up having her mom move to the plaza, and it was just heart-wrenching for her. And I guess the feeling of guilt, I think, was worse than anything. And I tried to explain to her, oh, hon, you can only do so much, and when it's time, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah,
I used to sit in a chair where my mother would get out of the bed, and I put the chair right up to the bed, and I would sit in that chair and sleep in it through the night, because if she tried to get up out of bed, I would be right there, and I was so afraid that she would wander off in the middle of the night. And I live in a secure building, so if she got out the door and in the elevator, she couldn't come back up. And she got lost at one point when I took her to Japan, where she's from, to see her family for the last time. And in the middle of the night, something woke me up, and I felt like something's wrong. And I went out, and I looked, and she wasn't there. And she was wandering in the hall in the hotel looking for the bathroom. But if I didn't catch her, I don't know if I didn't wake up. And so these are just the stories that every caregiver has, right? And we go, oh yeah, ha, 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 they wandered off, but we got them back. But you can imagine, I mean, and that doesn't have to be somebody with dementia. This could even be a child, right? And I think that's why I really want to talk about, and I apologize that when you were here the last time, we talked about your red light therapy, which I really feel is important.
It is.
And many of my caregivers have told me that you're amazing, and what you do is so different and unique and wonderful. So I'm glad we got to talk about it, but I really wanted to make sure we got you on to talk about the Blackbird. And so what does the Blackbird have to do with what we're talking about?
Oh, incredible. It has last year, I believe, at the SPIN conference. I was there for the special needs children, but we hadn't launched the Blackbird yet. And I had so many caregivers come up to me and they said, we need this now. I don't have it yet. I'm so sorry. But it is, it's very unique because people, some people will come up to me and say, well, we have Apple Watch. So what? We can track them. We can do all these things. That's great. And I'm not telling anybody what to do. It's just, this is a tool that is available that can help people. It depends on the need. It depends on the person. There's a lot of people that they don't want anything touching their skin. Some people will forget that they even need to put it on, or it's not charged, or so one of the caregivers that came up to me, she said, we have an Apple Watch and my mom never charges it, so she does wander, and sometimes she gets lost in her neighborhood. She wants to continue to live independently, and we don't know what to do. So I will be contacting them soon because I have their information. But this is different because you can actually we call it the Blackbird ecosystem, and there's basic thing, the watch. The watch can actually track their blood pressure. It has SOS signal. It has a fall detection, but it can also set up as like a geo fence. So let's say that your mom is like, I'm living independent. I don't want to live in the house with you. No, I'm done. Guess what? You get to geo fence that whole area. So if she gets lost and she gets out of there, immediately the notification would come to whomever you designate. It could be 10 caregivers. It could be the whole family. And it will notify you. So then you can use the GPS coordinates and know exactly where they are. Even if they're in the mountain, you'll be able to find them, Yep. It's incredible. And
it is. And, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to point out that this is a watch, but also it can be worn as a pendant too, right?
Yeah. So there's 4 different things. The first one is it's like a Bluetooth device. So like higher functioning, you can, connect it to a phone and it works that way. But there's another one that most people are very comfortable and very familiar with. It's like the pendant that you wear around your neck. And you can, there's another device, you can wear it around your neck, and that one doesn't require a cell phone. It is an LTE device. So you can just put it on and you can, she can actually make calls from it. They'll be able to, let's say that they're getting care from EMS or a first responder. They can FaceTime while they're getting the care. But
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But the key is, yes, it has the fall detection. It has the SOS. It has all of that, including the geo tracking. But what's really unique about all of these devices is the QR code that is embedded in the watch, and you can also wear it on the outside. There's like a wristband slide on that you can put on any watch at all. And what happens is it has a QR code, 2 levels of QR code. So the first QR code level, which anyone can access, would have whatever information you would put on a medical bracelet, like, hey, this is my name, I have dementia, I'm allergic to this, this is my person, call them, right? But let's say that they're unconscious or they're lost and the emergency personnel is there, then they'll be able to be given a code, and they can unlock the code. It's just HIPAA protected, and they can pull up their current medications, all of their current treatments. So if they need care, they can triage them right there, not worrying about contraindications and whatnot. So that is one thing that is absolutely unique. It is patented. Nobody else has that. So whether they are at the level of I can handle having a watch or a phone, or you just need to track them. You would sew on a button onto their clothing. It looks like a button. And so they're not going to even be the wiser. It has the tracking mechanism, and it also has the information, the QR code identity information.
So the button has the geofencing too then, right?
That does not have the geofencing, but it'll, you can still track them.
Wow. That's amazing. That would have brought me so much comfort. I think I wasted a lot of sleep and a lot of worry, and probably that's why I think I got these, what they call them 11s. So deep. Come and
see me, Savy. Come and see me.
I need the red light therapy for it. But I think that's where that came from, because, I was constantly, I would call, And my mother at one point forgot how to answer the phone. So then, of course, she would just talk to the air, and think that she was on the phone. She would forget how to push the button. And so it just got to the point where I was constantly wondering if I would come home and my mom would be there. And it was just crazy. I couldn't think about anything else except that my mother would wander off. And, I'm very, very fortunate she didn't at home. But like I said, when we traveled, that was scared the bejesus out of me, and I thought I'd lost my mother in a foreign country. Can you just imagine? I don't know the streets around this hotel. I'd have to try and find my mother. What if she got downstairs in the elevator and she was in her pajamas, for goodness sake? It's horrific. And the same thing for, I think, a parent with a child. If you could just imagine, now with all of the things happening out there, we live in a crazy, crazy world, and children are being abducted. And I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful tool to be able to keep track of the person you're caring for and not have to have all that worry on your shoulders, which is a lot. And not everybody talks about it. They say, oh, yeah, I worry, but they don't tell you how much, and it just wrenches you, right?
Oh, yeah. I suffered with my friend. We would oftentimes, I would call her. She's not answering her phone because she's just going through her own depression. And I would just leave her prayers on the phone call, just to let her know that no matter what, somebody's here for you. And you may not be able to even answer the call, but she can hear it, and I would call every day. Even if she didn't answer, I would just leave a voicemail message. And eventually she did come out of it, because even after she put her mom at the plaza, she was still struggling with the guilt again, right? And so this product, I do believe, is going to be extremely beneficial for children who are autistic. A lot of them, they go towards water, which is very dangerous because they don't have they're not scared, right? And it is waterproof. So again, it will alert you, will be able to locate them. I am a I finally got my Medicaid waiver. So I'm able to bill for assistive technology. So anyone under the developmentally disabled and on Medicaid, I will be able to help them get it through insurance.
Well, that was my next question, because this is actually a licensed DME, right? A durable medical equipment.
Yes.
And so it's covered under Medicaid, correct?
It is covered under Medicaid, but the only ones that I can personally bill for is the assistive technology, because I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, right.
But if there are doctors out there, they can actually get it to them through, the PERS, Personal Emergency Response System. If there is somebody who can bill for that, call me. Let's connect, and I'll work with them.
And you can work with them. Yes, absolutely.
And even for doctors, this is also a remote patient monitoring device. So if they put the watch on the person, they'll be able to track their blood pressure, their oxygen levels.
Awesome.
Next year, they're actually adding a diabetes component to it as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's
this
amazing.
is something that's continuing to evolve and get better. And it's kind of amazing that it's starting Hawaii first, because it usually
that's because we rock here,
That's right, we do. That's what I told her. I'm like, dude, you got to come to Hawaii first. Hawaii is awesome.
That's right.
It is really difficult to break into Hawaii, but you know what? I know it's going to help our people, and I don't care, even if it's hard.
You know what? But if anyone can do it, you have the great heart for that, Nam, and I love that about you. You really do things out of kindness, and you care, and that's a beautiful thing. And that just comes from understanding and being a caregiver yourself. I think, and as I'm aging, Eric, speaking of a chicken with their head on, but as I'm aging, I think this is something that I'd like to have, because I'd like to know when my blood pressure and what's my oxygen levels and things like that. I don't care about just my steps. I want to know how I'm doing physically. What if I'm at risk at some point? Caregivers are at high risk from caregiver burnout, and stroke is a big thing that happens to caregivers. I think that caregivers should have this watch for themselves, not just to be geolocated, but also to be able to track their own personal health. And I think caregivers put their health so far back that you don't think about it. Well, if the watch tells you, hey, you need to sit down, well, then maybe you need to sit down, and I think that's a great thing too. So I wouldn't just think that this is something only for the people that are getting care. I think caregivers need this watch too.
This is for the vulnerable population, but even anybody who lives independently. My biological dad, when I guess he had stomach cancer, and then he checked out of the hospital. He lived alone at the time, and we had been estranged. And the crazy thing is, he fell in his apartment and nobody found him.
Oh, wow.
And he passed away. Can you imagine? I just, to this day, I think about that. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't even imagine what my dad went through, but something as simple as that. My brother's neighbor, they live literally like next door to each other. She fell for 2 hours. Nobody found her, and it's those type of situations. She broke her hip, so she couldn't even get up. Somebody ended up coming home, thank goodness. But she lives alone normally too. Yeah. And she couldn't yell, so people couldn't even hear her. So, if you're living independently, it is, I would say that it is very affordable. We would definitely work with you. But if it is possible to get it through insurance, we really want to. I am working on becoming, what is that called? TRICARE certified. And once that happens, I can also bill on the TRICARE side as well. So,
wow, awesome. Well, you're just amazing. And I love what you do in so many ways, not just with your red light therapy, but now with the Blackbird, being able to really help those, just it's a peace of mind thing, right? Yeah. And you're bringing that to so many people. So thank you for that, Nam. And we only have about a minute left, but was there anything else you wanted to share?
We do have a deal on Aloha Friday deals. We have one of the Blackbirds on there, and I think it's going to be on sale. And it's the Blackbird device with, I think, 6 months of service fees. So
wow. Okay. So so get a hold of Nam Collins, and it's Lifeline DME LLC. You can call her at 808-725-0200. 808-725-0200, or go to the website lifeliness.com and just give her a call. She's awesome, and you see her. She's so chill. So just give her a call, talk to her, and find out about this Black Friday special, because I'm looking at everything Black Friday right now. There's some great deals out there, and you might want to buy yourself a pair of shoes. But I'll tell you what, I think this one should take priority. Because it's something not just for peace of mind, but also for your health and your continued survival. So thank you for sharing that with us today and for coming back on to explain that. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate this Blackbird device. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha. Great. Thanks, Sam. Bye. Wow. Can I just say wow? Right? 808-725-0200. You guys, give Nam a call. Let's ring that phone off the hook, because I'm going to tell you right now, I wish I had this for my mom. I would have literally made her put the necklace on every day. And, my mother was one that always had to have her watch, no matter what. She always had to have her watch. So this would have been perfect. So thank you, Nam. Mahalo, especially for your heart and all that you do. Okay. All right. As a reminder, the show is brought to you and paid for by Gimme a Break and Givers Guides online magazine. So keep those donations coming. And I'm so grateful for all of the ones that we do get and all of you who support us. And, know that if it's a $25 or more donation, you're going to get a Mahalo gift. And that's 12 issues of the Givers Guides online magazine. Great thing. It's a great magazine and a great way to resource yourself and have a little fun too. All right, quick reminder, Strolling with Savy is today. And yes, even though it's a holiday, it will be today. We'll be strolling at Kuli'o Beach Park. So join us at sunset, usually around 5:30-ish. We're there. So come on down if you're in the east side. And if you're not, then why not? Drive out here. It's a great time to see the sunset. They've been just beautiful lately. So that is going to be today. And next week, it will be the 3rd. So I'm sorry, it is not today. Take that back. I take that back. Reverse. What was Willy Wonka? Rewind, replay it. this is only for next week, Wednesday, the 3rd of December. We are not doing it today. It is next week. Yeah, I know. That's that whole dementia thing, right? That wraps our show, and that wraps season 16. It is truly an honor to share with you everything. And season 17 will be here the first Wednesday in February of 2026 with my co-host Lonnie Almanza, and all the resources you not just need, but want. And we're also going to be bringing back, by the way, our mindful moment. I'm really excited about this last announcement. With the social media viral sensation with hundreds of thousands of followers, Bianca Spears is a laughter leader. She is an award-winning empowerment coach and the lover of simple things like sunsets. You can check her out on her YouTube page, bianca.spears, at bianca.spears. If you just think of Britney Spears, you'll remember her, bianca.spears. And she does laughter yoga. And she's going to be doing our mindful moment before every show in season 17. And also I'll have Bunny Tanaka with Hawaii State Federal Credit Union here to talk to you about something you didn't think you needed. I can't wait. I just can't wait. It's going to be a wonderful season. And in the meantime, you're going to have rebroadcasts of this entire season for the next couple of months. So just enjoy them. And don't worry if you missed an episode. You know, you can always check us out on podcast or on our YouTube page and watch all of those on the Caring Caregiver Show YouTube page or the Give Me a Break YouTube page. And you can listen to us in podcast on just about any platform, Stitcher, Apple, Google, they're all there, Spotify, the Caring Caregiver Show for you. So with that, I want to wish you all an amazing, amazing holiday. Have a wonderful time with all of your family and friends. Take time for you because you matter. And here's hoping that next year is even better. I'll see you next year. I'm truly grateful for caregivers and for those who support all of us. And I'm grateful for you for watching. So in the meantime, remember to breathe. And here's hoping that you're finding joy, more joy in your caregiving every week here on the Caring Caregiver Show. Thanks for tuning in, and please always be kind to yourself and especially to those who are caring. Aloha, everyone.